Ultra large mini LEDs are all the rage this year, but the star of today's video might be one of the very best, the 98-inch Sony Bravia 5. Up next.
I've seen things people wouldn't believe.
If the TVs in this video are not large enough for you, you need to check out today's sponsor. Both Valerion and AWOL Vision have many short throw and long throw projectors to choose from. Here you're seeing the VisionMaster Pro 2. And when your largest TV is not large enough, both AWOL Vision and Valerion literally have you covered, giving you a gorgeous cinematic experience that is also portable. You can watch it on any screen, even 120 inches, 180 inches, up to 300 inches. This RGB laser projector gives you that cinematic feel home or anywhere your family gathers. On Prime Day, you can save $600 on the Valerion VisionMaster Pro 2 seen within this video, as well as 20% off site-wide on any Valerion projector. And for AWOL Vision, Prime Day will have the lowest price of the year for AWOL Vision projectors. You can enjoy an instant $1,550 price drop during this event. So act now and save on Prime Day, as this is the best deal of 2025 you will see from Valerion and AWOL Vision. And enjoy the most cinematic, beautiful, vibrant, and most importantly, the most immersive experience you can get at home. Thank you to Valerion and AWOL Vision for sponsoring this video. Hey, what's up guys, I'm Brian, this is Tech Therapy. Thank you so much for joining me as we check out the 98-inch Sony Bravia 5, which is the successor to the very popular X90 series. However, the Bravia 5 is mini LED. Now, honestly, I haven't spent much time with the smaller size Bravia 5s or how they compare to the X90 series. What I do know is that the Bravia 5 at 98 inches is a totally different beast. It is very bright. And if you want that XR cognitive processor and the clarity that comes with it, the 98-inch Bravia 5 is the only game in town. Without further ado, let's check out the Sony Bravia 5 at 98 inches. Thank you so much for watching. All right, guys, let's do it. We're here at Value Electronics. Check out the size of the Bravia 5 98-inch mini LEDs box versus the Bravia 8 Mark II at 65 inches. It absolutely dwarfs it. I actually used the box of the Bravia 5 to block the glare from one of the doors up front because it shows up on screen. Very hard to shoot at Value Electronics when the TV is in the front. There are a lot of sconces and lights, but I had to show you the scale of this box versus a 65-inch. Now let's take a quick look at the design of the 98-inch Bravia 5. Now we have a wide stance and we also have very heavy duty legs, just like the X90L at 98 inches and the X92 before that. You can't have the flush legs from the newer TVs with a TV this size, and you have to laugh when you see the handles at the back. You know your TV's heavy when you need handles like that to lift it with. The TV is very sturdy. You have the textured back that you see on other high-end Sony TVs. And it does have a very premium feel all the way around. You can see the wide base of the feet from front to back. Another quick look at the handles. Now, the Bravia 5 is very bright, at least at 98 inches. Now the table that it's sitting on sits just below my knee if I'm standing up. Now I'm 6'3" and the TV actually towers over me even on a lower stand. Front bezel is black. And not really that thick for a TV this size. Again, we're mini LED where the X90 was full array. So a little Value Electronics sign up there. Special shout out to Value Electronics, where I have shot every large Sony I have ever reviewed on this channel in their store. Let's get into our first round of demo material from our good friend Jennifer Gala. Now you can see right off the bat that the Bravia 5 at 98 inches has that very natural and very distinct Sony look. So while we are in HDR, we'll spend the majority of our time in professional until we get to the settings overview portion of the video. Right out of the box, the Bravia 5 looks excellent and is plenty bright just in professional, which is its most accurate preset, taking the place of the legendary custom preset from past Sony TVs. Now, Sony's motion is also excellent as you move through this very fast-paced demo. But when it comes to Sony, even out of the box, you can put it right into professional and call it a day. They have that set it and forget it mentality, where all the presets are very accurate and all very pleasing to the eye. Except when in SDR you want to be out of the professional preset. I will show you that a little bit later in the video. Let's quickly just go through the different presets that we have here. Again, we'll start off in professional. Calm is actually pretty cool that I actually used a little bit while my eyes were hurting me because the TV is very bright. Moving from professional to cinema, the changes are subtle, but even standard, being punchy and saturated, still retains a little bit of that accuracy. Even vivid looks accurate. The colors don't get crazy. Now, you do have the flexibility of image to go in with live color, reality creation, black adjust. You can change all of these settings to make the image look more saturated, but even in the brightest preset, the Sony Bravia 5 will still look very accurate. Staying in professional for our color test. Now, if you see any artifacting on the screen, that is my camera and the frame rate. It's hard to tell if it'll show up, but if you see any lines down the screen, that's just the artifacting from my camera, the frame rate, and the frame rate of the content. Even here, as I pause it, professional, cinema, that red still looks good in every preset, even the vivid preset, which I think is pretty amazing. Now, the Bravia 5 at any size, let alone 98 inches, has insane competition from the other manufacturers, especially at the ultra large sizes of 98 inches and above. But the XR cognitive processor is what sets this TV apart. The clarity is ridiculous. Now, the X90 was full array local dimming. Now we're here at mini LED, so local dimming is much more improved, especially dead center. But you see here in this shot, you'll see more haloing than perhaps other TVs. But Sony's signature is shadow detail. Even on the Bravia 9, they will allow some blooming or some haloing for that clarity and shadow detail. That is their signature. But these fast transitions dead center, it does very well, and I was actually very surprised. So in comparison to the X90L, we do have better local dimming. Again, we are mini LED versus full array local dimming, which was on the X92 and the X90 series. Now, I've heard some grumblings that the Bravia 5 isn't as bright as the X90L, and I don't have a 98-inch X90L here, but I felt like the Bravia 5 at 98 was plenty bright, and the HDR impact was evident. At times, it was extremely bright. Now, is it the brightest 98-inch TV I've ever seen? It isn't, but I personally feel that it's bright enough, at least the 98-inch version, and again, I have not spent any time with the smaller Bravia 5s throughout the lineup. Now, for me, what really sets the Bravia 5 apart at 98 inches versus the competition is the XR cognitive processor. You'll see that specifically in this shot. Sony TVs look the best with these images from our good friend Jennifer Gala. The XR cognitive processor, the focal point analysis, it gives you that depth and a 3D look. And to have that at 98 inches does matter. That clarity, that picture processing means more than it ever has the larger you go. And 98 inches, if you don't have good processing, it will show up. And that's what made this night such an eye-opening and pleasant experience. Was I had no expectations, but if you told me that the Bravia 5 here at 98 was a 98-inch Bravia 9 in terms of its clarity, I would actually believe you. The local dimming isn't as good as the Bravia 9, but as far as clarity in the image processing, even the color, though the Bravia 5 does not have quantum dots, there was rarely a time where I thought, hey, it's missing color. Very colorful, very beautiful, and very natural. But again, that clarity, that clean image, especially at 4K with a TV this size, the camera is only about 5 feet from the Bravia 5. I was super impressed. Again, I kept saying to myself, you could easily say this was a Bravia 9 and get away with it. Other than the local dimming not being as good as the Bravia 9, it's still very good, which you'll see in these shots, dead center. Speaking of these shots, a very special shout out to the one and only Jennifer Gala and her second channel, HDR Super Channel. All of the content you were seeing within this video and intro is from both of those channels. Check the description below for links to both channels and consider becoming a Patreon member to Jennifer's main channel and download all of this amazing content in full Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision. Thank you so much, Jen. Now, as I mentioned, my expectations were not high for the larger Bravia 5 simply because the specs of the competing models are really through the roof in comparison to the Bravia 5. But I didn't feel that was an issue. This is, again, the clearest image I've seen on a large TV this year, and I've seen virtually all of them. Now, in terms of local dimming and at peak brightness, it's not going to be the highest in terms of competing against them, but in terms of that clarity and image processing, it is the cleanest large TV I've seen this year. Also, a very special shout out to my host, Value Electronics. Thank you to Robert and Wendy Zahn for having me film the 98-inch Bravia 5 in their store. Check the description below for links to their store. Please consider making your next AV purchase through them. Let them know that I sent you. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Wendy. I was actually texting both Robert and Wendy throughout the night saying this could easily be a Bravia 9 at 98 inches, which is what all of us freaking wanted, was a Bravia 9, not a Bravia 5. But that's what's so interesting about this image. It's almost like you don't even want it until you see it, because you're discounting it the way I have discounted it. I basically dismissed it. I happen to have the time to shoot it. Otherwise, I wasn't really that excited about it. I had seen it in Japan, I saw it in New York, and what I saw was, again, better processing, but I wasn't super excited about it. But the more time I spent with it, the more I grew to love it. Now, the Bravia 5, as I mentioned, is a successor to the X90. It will also sit below the Bravia 7 and Bravia 9, which carry over. Now, the Bravia 7 and Bravia 9 max out at 85 inches, making the Bravia 5 the only ultra-large TV from Sony this year. Sony, if you're listening, we need larger than 98, and we also need to see your flagship TVs be the ones that you're seeing at these larger sizes, as the competition does have their flagships at ultra large sizes. That said, the Bravia 5 could actually hang with any of those TVs on the clarity alone. And even though it doesn't have quantum dots, the colors are absolutely gorgeous. And as you can see here, even with very bright images, the local dimming is definitely doing very well. I would say the viewing angle of the local dimming is not as good as the competition. Even pushing the image very bright, you'll see some haloing, but not really outright blooming from the front. So I was very impressed with that. Now I want to go into something that has become a bit of a controversy, and that is SDR brightness on Sony TVs. If you watch SDR in professional on any Sony TV this year, there's only two, it will be very dark. Even calm is brighter than professional. Do not watch SDR content on a Sony TV in professional. Look at how bright the other presets are. Sony, please remedy this so I can stop trying to answer these questions. Do not watch SDR content in professional. Put it into any other preset. Freaking calm is brighter than professional. Let's let the SDR demo run Now, I don't know anybody that watches sports in filmmaker mode, but I would say, rule of thumb, for many of these manufacturers, I'll show you the different presets as we go through, don't really try to watch in the most accurate preset SDR. No one's watching football or hockey in filmmaker. So if you feel like any TV, not just the Sony TVs, other manufacturers have very dim filmmaker modes in SDR, just move out of that preset, go into cinema, sports, any of the other presets than professional or filmmaker. Professional is Sony's version of filmmaker, by the way, if you didn't know. But if it feels too dark to you, just get out of that preset and you'll be fine. But Sony, just adjust that professional preset, please, so we can stop hearing that the TV isn't any good because of dark SDR in that one preset. Now let's move into our black bar test. We'll even start in standard. We'll move into cinema from our good friend Jennifer Gala. The black bars look fantastic from dead center. Not bad at all. Again, it is mini LED. We move off to the side and you can see more haloing. It does go away depending on which shot is there, but it is there. Again, shadow detail is their goal. Still looks very, very good. Now we'll go into our local dimming drip. Again, this is Jan's content and this is punishing. What you're gonna see from the Bravia 5 is extremely bright highlights. That is their signature. They rather have more blooming around the image. We saw this on the Bravia 7 and even on the Bravia 9. But that will not darken. They will sustain that brightness. Again, that is their signature. But overall, very impressed with the local dimming of the Bravia 5, especially in comparison to the X90L. Here we are off angle, and you'll see more blooming, or I should say more haloing, as we get off angle here when the screen gets more filled up. But actually not bad. I'm way off angle, and there you see more of the haloing there. And there more on the bottom. Back to center, and we're good. Now, are viewing angles super important? They are typically, but not on a TV that is 98 inches. Again, very impressed with it, as shadow detail is one of their greatest strengths in regards to any of their TVs, not just their mini LEDs. Now, as far as upscaling, Sony is still the best in the business. Here is our Columbo test. I don't know why his head looks so big. Look how dark Professional is again. But best upscaling in the business still by Sony. Looks fantastic. Now, I didn't game at all. I was here till about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I don't have any other still shots of movies. It's very hard to shoot in the gallery. But in closing, I was very impressed with the Bravia 5 at 98 inches. And as far as I'm concerned, the other Bravia 5 reviews don't really pertain to the larger Bravia 5 at 98 inches. Now, I haven't reviewed them myself, but the Bravia 5 is extremely bright. And again, motion processing, picture processing, clarity, color reproduction, all look excellent. Though it isn't quantum dot, I did not notice a lack of color in my testing with it. Now, I'm not sure of the current price, and Sony's TVs are priced higher than the competition, but I will tell you that the price of the Bravia 5 at 98 inches is much cheaper than what the X90L was at 98 inches. They also had a promotion, I believe, where they were including smaller X90Ls for free, I think 65 inches. I'm not sure. I don't talk much about price in videos, as that changes as we go on. But I do recommend the Bravia 5 at 98 inches if you want the clearest, largest Sony mini LED. I'm Brian. This is Tech Therapy. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing. Love you guys. Take care.
It's better to burn out than to fade away. There can be only one.